Chapter 1, entitled, Freedom is in Peril. Today, the mid-date of March, I've moved the ball forward again. I made an online report to the Columbus Police Department about stolen mail, and it included a whole lot more. Doing one thing and not it all at the same time means my captors have more chance to hurt me more than they already have. My captors have made such a mess of a situation and made people guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, all in an effort to keep me, punish me, torture me with the tools they've been given. Freedom is in peril. Defend it with all your might is the name of this journal I saw in a bookstore today on Lane Avenue. It spoke out to me as it is exactly what I am doing, both for myself and for all mankind. I'm not sure why neighbors don't believe my rights have been stripped of me, bare, except that they believe a criminal before they believe me. It's a situation I've never encountered in my life, but a group with the technology to create torture and make me appear something I'm not might have something to do with it. The only way I have to preserve what I think, feel, believe, and discover is to share it almost immediately with a sense of urgency, because I know it can be stolen, twisted, manufactured into something that isn't what truth I know. Some things have a way of coming slowly, and others all of a sudden. Regardless, living in the now, still planning for the future, but never forgetting our past. We learn, we grow, and as a collective, become something greater than we were, or worse. It is a choice. Today, choice is in question more than ever, and I fear a living slavery of so many kinds: economic, religious, employment. Our uniqueness makes us each special. And if we lose that connection with self, we are certainly on the wrong path. When people think of what freedom is, or what people think of freedom versus not, it's in reference to some kind of confinement or restriction. Outwardly, I appear free. And people don't understand what I'm talking about. People believe with their eyes, and if they can't see loss of freedom, they definitely don't believe it. I can't convince anybody of everything. And it's a struggle just to get to noonday. What's become of a world I once knew well is now foreign and strange. What I used to find exciting is now dull and blunt, more black and white than gray, less possibility. It's this freedom in peril that is unlike any war with weapons. Its invisible daggers penetrate deep and long. To be believed would be a miracle, but the reality is that it won't change my situation. I can hardly recall a time recently I was happy and myself. It's strange being in a body and not feeling comfortable in it or in control. Even though it's cool today, I took a walk down the ravine and saw the beginning season's canopy, still buds almost bursting. Just a few more weeks and everything will be bright green and alive. I hope I feel that expression of life again too. Life is unfolding in the present, and the sooner we all start living the now today, the better off we'll all be. Something has happened with manners at the dawn of a new millennium that threatens progress and creativity more than anything else. And it all happened while we were too busy doing something else. We discredit all past human effort to defend freedom and treat their sacrifice the same as a hooker's beaten alley death without any ID. We take for granted that our freedoms are secure and never disappearing. We worship freedom as a god and trust in its eternity. How tricky the devil to wear sheep's clothing and call something something else. In the name of safety or security. This current flu outbreak reminded me of all the laws we have and how powerful the state is. Restaurants can only serve takeout. I wonder if bars are afforded the same to operate as a business or not. Doesn't alcohol kill most things anyway? Well, it's moot because Ohio has an open container law, so no rubber drunk drive-through. I wonder what might happen to our economy, the world's economy. I guess it's just like everything else, one day at a time, because we can't do one thing at all about tomorrow today. I have a long list of things to do and wonder a bit if any of it really does matter in the end. I should watch some news, something I haven't done since 9/11, because the coverage was making me overly emotional, and the event, though tragic, did not really affect my day-to-day life. Perspective. And it's an important thing to keep in mind. My suspicion is that people have been given bits and pieces of things just for their benefit. The danger in this duck and cover strategy is that it ultimately, if not sooner, will create major destruction at some point down the road. An analogy would be a sunny day at the beach, and even though clouds were building all afternoon, you chose to stay and play. All of a sudden, a howl of wind and crack of thunder occurs, and you wonder where the storm came up from. The signs are very clear that after 9/11, freedoms were voted into jeopardy. That would be the Patriot Act. Now, less than 20 years later, now 23. 22, my fault. We face a reality of those decisions made back at the turn of the century. It's not rocket science, but it is common sense, as Thomas Paine wrote, that we do the most logical thing possible, because the consequences of doing the other thing possible might just make it impossible to turn back the clock. Just like being stuck at the beach as the cold rain chills your skin, and you forget all about the nice time you had in the sunshine earlier in the day. I watched a flock of large birds silently soar over the treetops toward some unknown destination as the spring storm rolled in. That freedom of flight I am envious of. A freedom yearned by my gravity-bound body that I cannot achieve. Man puts restrictions on man, not God. That's probably why he is nothing but love and told his children, us, to treat each other that way. But instead, we ignore his word and as a result, create hell on earth and make people suffer so we can feel in control of something that realistically is out of our hands. What do people actually do with power? It's a self-centered way of thinking that warps others' reality and experience on earth. Why this issue over control and power is not more discussed is a mystery to me, especially living in the freest country on earth today. Freedom is in peril today because we don't pause to think about how that philosophical reality actually plays out in our daily lives. We falsely assume, because we say something, that it is true. Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, and Saint Valentine were all real people at one time, but now are dead. Though we still believe they are real, at least that's how we lie to our own children anyway. We need to think of a better way to speak honestly, because when it doesn't happen, both parties lose as a result. One feels shame, and the other's faith in the person's credibility is now in question. I'm in a huge mess, all not because I lied, but others did. And on top of that, others believe the liars. It's hard to make any headway when it's constantly 2 against 1, now for 5 years. My basic human right to have freedom of mind has been ripped away, and getting it back has been the largest challenge of my life. I have grown as a person and know that if I can win back what everyone on earth is born with, I know that I'll be successful at whatever I choose to do as an occupation. I often visit cemetery sites when traveling and find the connection with past human experience comforting. Past human spirit comforting. I pray to God, and I know Jesus is in me, as he is in every human being. But only past entirely human experience knows the experience authentically. And on my journey to freedom, I have asked questions of our dead mothers and brothers, our cousins and our friends. When at a particular resting site, I look at the born and died dates and connect historical events with their own lives. Anna was a child during World War I. Chris was alive during the Depression. Judy was around before television was invented. Charles was alive during slavery. There has always existed different kinds of slavery, but today, freedom is in peril. A new kind of slavery that makes owner and servant in a worse place than where they started. Freedom of mind is one of the basic essential things that even the slave in slavery had. They still had that space reserved for only one thing: God. Not having it only for him does horrible things to a victim, but also dooms the owner a space not in heaven. And its addictive quality is more hooking than any drug ever known to man. We have a choice as a civilization to turn back the clock before it's too late. And we all turn into angry and controlling people. Just because a technology or achievement in science is possible does not always mean we should do it. In the 20th year of the second millennium, we are at a crossroads. And the path we choose collectively makes a huge difference for generations to come. 2020 is the first time in mankind's history that our lusty and steamy affair with technology crosses over into marriage with three major sets of laws: country given, God told, and God created. The first ever AI constitutional amendment, freedom of mind. And then I wrote in asterisks, and that is because I wrote what it is on the back. Thank you, Chile and Mexico, for your